Hello, class. I hope you're all doing well, staying safe, and practicing social distancing. This is our sixth ELA video, and we're going to be talking about sequence of events. It's a really short video, so it shouldn't take you very long to do. So our objective is we can identify a series of historical events using a flow map. So just remember, when we're looking at sequence of events, especially historical, we're looking for first off dates, but there's keywords or signal words that you'll see within the text. Sequence, you'll see the actual word sequence, first, second, third, next, after, then, events. Just like in cause and effect, we have those signal words that when you read them, if and then, because, that should trigger in your mind, think, 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 cause and effect relationship. When you start seeing some of these signal words, it should do the same thing. It's like, there's the author's writing these in sequential order. There's a reason for this. Here you'll see like the flow chart. It's like the flow map is first, next, then. I mean, these can go on to 4, 5, 6, depending how many events you actually have. It could be first, next, this happened, third, this happened. And so it's not just limited to the beginning, middle, and end. Like the beginning could be this, the middle could be like 1, 2, 3, or 4 events, and then you have your ending. So when we're doing, so we'll see, we've seen flow maps like this, where first, comma, that's ugly, sorry, first, next, I'm just gonna put the letter next, comma, then, comma, last, or you can, instead of next, you can say after. First, next, after. Or you can say first, second, third, fourth. There's a lot of those transition words, a lot of those sequencing words that you'll see. You can even put finally or in the end, in conclusion, and so on. You'll also see flow maps like this, that it's pretty much just this, that sequencing that's going from beginning to end. But we'll just write it vertical like this. That way you can write out a complete thought. But it's still essentially a flow map. It just looks different. So again, like if we look at COVID-19, and we could apply that to our situation. Like most of us, hopefully we've been most of us have been impacted like with school, right? So we could look at it. Well, first we heard the announcement that coronavirus was in the United States. Next, our close, we went to spring break. After they closed the schools, then we went on to an online format and started doing assignments online. After, blah, blah, blah. So if it goes first, next, then. So if we were to be reading an article, or you were to be writing history, write in your journal, because eventually, like, you might want to go back and read this. Somebody you never know who will read what you're writing, right? Let's say you become a historian or something like that, and you publish it. This is how you're going to reflect back on these events now. Who knows? Later on, like years from now, someone might ask you, "So tell me how life was like during the coronavirus. What were you doing? How was life like?" Well, first this happened, then this happened, then this happened, blah blah blah. So you never know. So that's how you will sequence. That's how you present that information of events going on now. And depending how much into detail you want to get, your flow map and your flow map could have maybe 4, 5, 6 boxes. So we're gonna be using the flow map. It's, remember your arrows, first, next, then, to be illustrating like the historical life of this woman. Her name was Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth. I did a video that talks a lot of. I'm gonna post a video that's gonna. It also talks about her. It's like a cartoon animation, and it goes over her life, her accomplishments. So this article I took from ReadWorks, and it's been assigned to the class. So you go on ReadWorks and read it. You have to answer the comprehension questions first, and then you do your flow map. So it shouldn't be too difficult. I'm just looking for your transition words or your sequencing words, like first, next, then. And also look at dates. That would also put things into relevance of what happened first and what happened after. Usually in this kind of text, it's pretty easy to follow along because it usually starts from beginning earlier and then it moves on. Sometimes though, authors will kind of mix things around, so you have to really pay close attention to the dates, the years. So, famous African Americans, Sojourner Truth. In the Broadway musical The Civil War, actress Cheryl Freeman gave a powerful monologue. The speech shocked the audience. It left them in tears. This monologue was taken from the words of Sojourner Truth. So the Civil War is in the Broadway musical. It's a musical that's happening now. It's just like a show people go to, and it's talking about the Civil War that happened in the United States. Like around the 1800s, there was a fight in the United States between the northern states and the southern states over slavery. Uh, Obviously, the northern states won, but we refer to those events as the Civil War. I don't know how much you've learned about it. You'll probably learn more about the Civil War in like fourth, fifth, the upcoming grades. So this monologue was taken for the words of Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth was an African American female abolitionist. She became one of the most famous abolitionists of her time. Sojourner Truth traveled across the country and gave important speeches. She worked towards the freedom of slaves in the United States. So that's what an abolitionist is. It was a person during that time. So again, there was a lot of people in the South, southern states, that wanted to keep slavery. Um, and people like brave men and women like her, they fought against this. They were called abolitionists because they fought. It was like they risked their lives to help other people escape slavery. Sojourner Truth was born a slave in upstate New York. So again, I said upper states. New York is an upper state, but there was a time when it also had slavery. So at this point in history, there's still slavery going on in the northern states. Sojourner Truth was born as a slave in upstate New York. However, she escaped to freedom in 1826. She had to leave some of her children behind. After her freedom, Sojourner Truth worked hard to fight against slavery. She inspired thousands, including President Abraham Lincoln. She even met with him at the White House. So Abraham Lincoln is the president that we credit him for like abolishing slavery, for ending slavery, because he was the president who was like, we are ending slavery. And he was a leader during the Civil War of the northern states, of the states who were against slavery. By 1850, Sojourner Truth also worked hard to fight for women's rights. At the 1851 Women's Rights Convention, she gave a speech in support of abolition and women's rights. Here's a part of Sojourner's speech. So she gave a big, powerful speech, and it was titled, And Ain't I a Woman? And it's like, people still study that speech today because it's very powerful. So there's just a part of the speech, and I'm just going to read it to you just to get an idea of what she was trying to portray, or the message she was trying to give. That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted up ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me, look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could best me. Ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. Ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen most all sold off to slavery. And when I cried out with a mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. Ain't I a woman? So again, this is a very influential figure of the time, and we learned about her. So you're going to be going into ReadWorks, reading this again, read it again to really get that understanding of the text, and then you're going to answer the comprehension questions. Once you've done that and submitted through ReadWorks, then you're going to go on to Seesaw and submit the flow map. All right, guys, stay safe.